my name is Eileen Zanarios from Flex Counseling and Wellness. These video yoga courses are intended for you to enjoy yoga in the comfort of your own home, at your own pace. As always, with any physical activity, make sure that your doctor approves you for physical activity, such as yoga, stretching, and that sort of thing. If you're not sure, ask. These classes are designed with a trauma-informed approach, which means that I will provide several suggestions for you, and it will be up to you to decide what works for you and your body. So we'll begin by getting onto our knees on our mat, bringing the big toes to touch, sitting back towards the heels and stretching our arms forward into a child's pose. Now many of us can reach our forehead to the mat and rest the forehead on the mat gently, allowing the body to soften into a child's pose. If you're finding that feels a little bit far away, you can take your foam block and you can place your forehead on the block, either on a lower setting or even up a little higher. So it all depends on what works for your body. And once we begin to settle into our child's pose, we'll start to tune into our breath. To start, begin to notice your breath. Notice the air as it filters in to your lungs and out. At this point, we're not trying to change anything about our breath. We're just simply knowing and noticing how we are showing up today, right here, right now. As you continue to breathe, you might notice your body feeling a little bit heavier, a little bit more grounded, softening and sinking in towards the mat. I'll take a few moments to talk about the style of breathing that many find useful in yoga practice, and that's Ujjayi breathing. And the idea of that breath is that we slightly constrict the back of our throat, kind of adding a little bit of sound to the breath. Grounding into our five senses is a way to become mindful and tuned into the present moment. And when we use Ujjayi breathing, we add the sound to the breath, which provides us with an anchor. We mentally anchor onto the inhales and the exhales. So we can do a few practice breaths with Ujjayi breathing. To start, constrict the back of your throat just a little bit, and if you're not sure what that means, it's kind of like making your breath sound like Darth Vader, or perhaps pretending like you're going to fog up a mirror. So as you breathe in through your nose, you constrict the throat just a little bit to add some sound to that breath. And as you exhale, same thing. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. As you begin to notice your breath and maybe attach some sound to the breath, you might notice that it's allowing you to feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more centered. That being said, if you're finding that concentrating on the breath is a little bit challenging for you today, just let it go and breathe in a way that it feels natural to you. No worries. Nothing about this should feel forced. These are just some different techniques that might help you to feel more present, more grounded, and more centered.
In yoga, we often breathe in and out of our nose. However, if you're feeling a little bit strained or maybe even a little bit anxious by your practice, you can always open the mouth and take a long exhale, releasing all the air through the mouth. It is best to breathe in through the nose if you can. Although, once again, if it doesn't work for you, just let it go and do what works for you. Now that we've grounded in our child's pose, we're going to begin some gentle spinal stretches. So first we'll come up onto our all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And hips width is just about 2 fists between the knees. And you can even measure, if you'd like, 2 fists. A lot of us kind of think of hips width as wider, but for this we want a neutral hip. So we just want 2 fists between the knees, hands feeling nice and steady and sturdy. If you have wrist pain or challenges, you may find that this is a little difficult. And if that's the case, you might come on to fists and keep the wrists nice and strong. You might explore some different postures with your wrists. If none of that works, everything we do on all fours can actually be done in a seated position. So to start, we'll come into some cat and cow poses. These allow our spine to begin to get some movement. So to begin, we'll drop our belly, drop our chest, stretch our hips up towards the ceiling. And this is like a cow, if you can imagine, a cow that has a really big sway back, and we'll allow the shoulder blades to kiss together on the back, and we'll turn our gaze forward and maybe even up to the sky. It's up to you depending on your level of flexibility. And as we do this cow pose, we take a deep breath in. And then we begin to round our back slowly, once again being mindful of the spine, tucking the pelvis, tucking the chin, rounding the back like a cat, especially one of those Halloween cats that's up on the fence, the black cat with its back arched. And then our next inhale, we'll drop our belly, drop our chest, look forward and up. And then exhale, round the back, pelvis in, chin in. Inhale, cat, cow, oops. Exhale, round. Inhale. And exhale. One more deep breath in. And long breath out. And then we'll come back to a nice strong tabletop posture, which is all fours. Slightly bringing the belly button in towards the spine to keep that core engaged for the entire practice. Next, we'll begin to stretch our legs. So we'll take our right foot towards the back of our mat, toes planted, and press the heel further back. And holding the stretch, we'll just breathe. One more deep breath in. And on your exhale, take your knee back to the mat. And then we'll take the left leg straight out, planting the left toes and pressing that left heel towards the back of the mat. Just getting that stretch in the calf and the back of the left leg. And we breathe. One more deep breath in. And as we exhale, take the left knee to the mat. And from here, we'll come into a few more cat and cow stretches just on our own pace to loosen up the spine once again. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. And take a moment to pause in your tabletop posture. Or maybe return back to a child's pose and take a few breaths, resting on the mat. So to begin our sun salutations, we'll start off in our tabletop pose. And in your practice, you can always use tabletop as your kind of home base pose. But for many of us, we like to do a downward facing dog, and that's going to be our home base pose. So for a downward facing dog, you'll kind of walk your hands forward just a little bit more forward than where they would be if you were in a tabletop. And then you'll tuck your toes under and you'll bring your hips up to the sky, forming an inverted V. Your feet are going to be about hips width apart, but again, some folks like to go a little wider, some a little closer, so it's up to you what feels right for you. This might feel a little weird if you're not used to practicing yoga, so just know that as you practice more, you're gonna get it down and you'll figure out how to engage the right muscles. And so even though it might look like we're using our arms here, we're really not. Like, I'm hardly using my arms at all. I'm really using my core. So belly button is tucked in. Again, we're bringing those hips up towards the sky. Like, so tailbone, imagine someone's got a string on your tailbone. You're pulling that up. And I know I'm talking a long time here. So if you're newer to the practice, if you're not wanting to hold your down dog as long as I hold it in practice, just pop on down to a table and then come back up. So you can always choose to do that. There are times when I might hold downward facing dog a little bit longer in the practice. And just know that the more you do it, you'll eventually get there. Or you'll eventually decide that down dog is not a pose that works for your body and you'll choose an alternative. So there's no right or wrong in yoga practice. It's about what works for your own body. All of us have different anatomy, physiology. Okay, so starting off in our downward facing dog, we'll go ahead and we'll lift our heels up to this, up kind of onto our tippy toes, bend the knees, and walk our feet forward in between our hands. Take hands to thighs and stretch the crown of the head forward. This is a halfway lift. So the idea here is that your spine is kind of stretching out. Shoulder blades may kiss together on the back a little bit. Belly button is in, and again, we're kind of pulling the head forward, pulling the tailbone back. Deep breath in. Exhale, we're going to fold over the legs. You'll notice I bend my knees. That's because I have some lower back challenges, so having those bent knees tends to work a little bit better for my anatomy. You might find that your feet further apart works better for you. You might find feet closer together works for you. Knees can be straight, knees can be bent. Totally up to your body what feels best here. And for some of us, especially if you have some like disc issues or have previous injuries in your spine, you may not want to fold forward like this. You might want to take a block and kind of just hang out here. Another option hands to thighs and just hang out here. So you don't have to fold forward. You only want to do that if it works best for your body. So we'll start in our forward fold, and then we'll breathe into a halfway lift again to get some practice. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. So you've got that motion down, pat. And now we'll come on up. We're going to stretch all the way up to stand. Stretch up, look up. And then exhale, fold forward again. Once again, only coming down as far as your body wants you to go. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, up to stand, stretch up, look up, fingertips high. Exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, we're going to come on back to our high plank position. And high plank might be a little bit more energetic than you'd like to be in your practice today. So if that's the case, just drop your knees down, pull the belly button in. Notice this is still a pretty intense core workout. So whether your knees are lifted or your knees are dropped, we'll go ahead and shift the shoulders forward, bend the elbows, and come all the way down to the mat to start. We're going to walk through a baby cobra posture. So beginning with forehead on the ground, body on the ground, tops of the feet on the ground. We're going to walk our fingertips back next to our lower ribs, keeping our elbows bent. You might keep just your fingertips on the ground. You might keep your whole hands on the ground. Totally up to you. Again, play around a little bit, see what works, see what feels good. And we'll start by lifting our shoulders up to elbow height. Maybe lifting a little more, maybe not quite lifting so much. When you find the level that works for you, just take a few breaths in and out, waking up the back muscles, but avoiding pain or pinching. We'll take our palms to the mat right under our shoulders, and we'll press back to a child's pose. Deep breath in, long breath out, and then we'll come back to our downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, long breath out. Breathe in and lift the heels high. Exhale, bend knees. Walk the feet forward. Press into a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, up to stand. Fingertips high. Gaze towards the ceiling. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, and we step back. And this time we're going to be in our high plank. Once again, if you need to drop your knees, go ahead and do that. And we're going to shift forward and come just halfway down, bending the elbows. This is a pretty intense pose. And we're going to push up, opening the heart into an upward facing dog. Our thighs are lifted, our body is strong. And we'll slowly come back to our downward facing dog. Now, if that transition was a little more challenging for you, you can just come on down to a cobra, come back through tabletop, and slip into a downward facing dog. You do not have to do the high plank to low plank, up dog, to down dog. You can just do high plank, down to belly, open to cobra, and push yourself back to a down dog. All right, so now we've got the basics of our Sun A kind of down. We're going to do some practice rounds. So we're going to go through a couple of rounds where we'll do our Sun Salutations A, and we'll choose whatever modifications we need as we go through. We're going to try and do one breath for one movement, if we can. So we'll start by breathing in, lifting the heels high. Exhale, bend knees, and walk. Halfway lift, and fold. Inhale, slowly stretch up to stand. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, step back. High plank or drop your knees. Shift forward, low plank or belly. Cobra or upward facing dog. And we'll meet back in a downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, long breath out. Breathe in and lift the heels. Exhale, bend the knees. Walk the feet forward. Stretch into a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale up to stand. Stretch up, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, step back. High plank. Low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. And we'll meet in a downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. Breathe in and lift heels high. Exhale, bend knees. Walk. Halfway lift and fold. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands come down, we step back. High plank. Low plank or belly. Up dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. Deep breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, long breath out. And we can sit on back into a child's pose. So for this stretching series, we'll begin on our backs. You take the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclining butterfly pose. Begin to soften and invite the inner thighs to open. Invite the body to settle. Begin to Notice the breath. Inviting the mind to anchor on the breath, away from thoughts, away from feelings, away from that to-do list that never gets finished. Just letting that all go. Inviting the mind to anchor on the present moment, the breath, right here, right now. We'll slowly start to take our knees up. And taking our feet maybe about mat's width apart. And then we'll start to shift our knees side to side. Maybe teeing out the arms at shoulder height, or allowing the arms to be in whatever position feels soft, restful, and natural. And we'll start to hug both knees in towards the belly. Maybe rocking side to side. Making some circles on the ceiling with your knees. Or making some figure eights on the ceiling with your knees. Whatever works for your body today. If you're doing circles, you might want to switch directions halfway through. If you're doing figure eights, you might want to do the opposite way. Squeeze, and then keeping hold of the right knee, we'll stretch the left leg out on the mat, flexing the right foot, and then make some circles with your right ankle. Switch directions with your circle. Is going to be your choice. You might loop your fingers together behind your right thigh and begin to straighten the right leg up. Don't worry if it stays partially bent. Just straighten it as much as you'd like. If you have a prop and would like to use it, if you have a strap, you can reach the strap or towel around the bottom of the right foot. Flexing the foot, taking the heel up towards the ceiling. Holding onto the strap and just letting gravity stretch. As you stretch a little bit longer, that you can pull your toes kind of more over the head. You might notice that you can straighten your leg a little bit more than you were before. To the right, and stretch our gaze towards the left. Again, this is an intense stretch, so if this is a little bit too much for you, you don't have to open your leg all the way out to the side. And you can even keep your right knee bent and just kind of open it up like a gate, holding on to the right knee. Take that right foot back up to the sky. You'll switch hands on the strap or towel if you have one. And then you'll move your right leg over to the left. And you'll see I just scooch because I have a bench here. And you'll open your right arm out to the right. And this is opening the outside of the right hip. And again, you can come more towards the floor or less towards the floor, depending on where your body is today and what works for you. And again, notice if you find the thoughts creeping up, if you find the to-do list just won't float away, just actively invite the mind to focus on the inhales and the exhales. One little trick to help you do that is you can attach numbers or counting to your breath. So maybe you breathe in for 5 and breathe out for 7. Or maybe you breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6. When we extend our exhale a little longer than our inhale, that can help bring down our stress levels a little bit. And when you're ready, slowly start to take your right foot back up to the sky. Maybe you notice that you can stretch a little further now than you could before. Or maybe it's the same, and that's good too. There's no right or wrong, it's just noticing. And noticing where your body is right here, right now, today. And inviting softness in where you feel like you're holding on to tension. So we're going to go ahead and bend our right knee back in again. We're going to take the left knee into joint, right? If you want to roll around a little more, again, you can. Loosening up. And then we'll hold on to our left knee, straighten our right leg out on the mat. And if this right here feels like it's where you want to go with your stretch today, you can stay here for the entire duration of the stretch. So again, everything I provide is just a suggestion. You go where your body leads you. Sometimes gentle is better. Sometimes less is more. If you'd like to go a little deeper in this stretch though, you can again grab hands behind the thigh, stretch the left leg up to the sky, or go ahead and loop that strap around the left foot. And hold. You'll notice we do hold our stretches for quite some time, and that's to give our muscles the full benefit of the stretch. And one of the things I'm doing that you might not notice, but I'm continuing to activate my muscles as I stretch. So I'm pulling my left toes back towards my knee. I'm pushing my left heel up towards the ceiling. So I'm activating my muscles as I stretch. I may not stretch as deeply when I do that, but it's a stretching practice I recommend, is to continuously activate those muscles while you're stretching. restorative practice can help activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that brings sort of the down energy, the relaxation, the rest response, sort of the opposite of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. When you're ready, you'll go ahead and start to take that left leg out to the side, opening it up. See if my bench is in the way this way again. It is, but I don't mind hanging out there because I'm using the bench to activate my stretch. It's often helpful here for the gaze to go opposite of leg. But again, check out how it feels in your body. If turning your head to the side isn't feeling great for you, you can just keep your neutral gaze up towards the ceiling, neck nice and neutral, head resting on the mat. Especially with our stretching practice, we want to find that restorative place that brings our body calm, peace, and rest. So we're not really challenging ourselves with this part of the practice. We're inviting ourselves to soften, find support with the ground, find stillness, find softness, ease. Slowly start to take our left leg up, over, and across. Shifting onto our right hip. Opening up that left hip. And again, your arm and your gaze may go opposite your leg. You might keep just a bent knee here if you want. If straightening it is a little too intense for you. Notice this kind of stretches into the back as well, so be mindful of that. Again, pain, pinching, anything like that we're not aiming for. So if you feel anything that does not feel right, you back off, you untwist. You might just take that leg right back up to the sky and just hold it there with no spinal twists at all. And when you're ready, slowly start to take your left foot back up to the sky. Stretching it up. Maybe you stretch a little deeper. And then when you get finished with that, hug both knees in. Maybe make some circles on the ground with your knees. Or on the ceiling, not on the ground. Circles on the ground with your back. Maybe you windshield washer side to side. And maybe you come to rest with soles of the feet together, knees wide, back to that reclined butterfly where we started. And you can rest here for your Shavasana rest, or you can take each foot out to each corner of the mat, arms at your side, shoulder blades tucked under your back for a more traditional Shavasana. Just resting on your back, corpse pose, inviting the practice to integrate. Begin to invite some gentle movement into your fingers and your toes. Perhaps you turn your head from one side to the next, beginning to reconnect with movement. Taking one knee and then the other in towards the belly. Give yourself a squeeze. And then roll to one side. Using your arm to support your head. Yoga fetal position. Rest here on your side. And as we conclude practice, take a moment to just be right here, right now. And then using your arms to support yourself, come back up to a seated cross-legged position. And take a moment to stretch the spine, crown of the head comes up towards the ceiling. Allow the hands to rest together in front of the heart. And take a moment to set an intention for yourself. And maybe take a moment to find gratitude. Maybe send some thoughts to someone that you know who needs some positive inspiration or intention. And then taking thumb knuckles up to the forehead center, we share a word that means the light in me sees and honors the light in you. That word is namaste. And so we conclude. Namaste.
If you have any questions throughout your practice, feel free to reach out through the Flex Counseling and Wellness website.